It's been over 1400 days since I first started epicseven, and there's something that I've always wanted to do. With thousands of RTA matches thrown, guild wars lost, accounts bricked, and rift runs failed, it's finally time for me to break down each and every single character in epicseven. This means we'll explore their playstyle, what their skills do, their possible builds, what I'll be using, their PvP/PvE use cases, and their pros and cons. But without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we're diving into one of the newest Fire Rangers introduced to epicseven, Robin. Whether you think she's amazing for Rift, or whether you're aiming to play her in a burn-based debuff team, Robin has some amazing damage and a lot of utility assuming you play around her. With that, today I'll be breaking down her builds, combos, team compositions, and everything you need to know to play her. But if you enjoyed or learned something from today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's first talk about Robin and what many initial first impressions would lead you to believe about her. Robin is a burn debuffer stream, and the defense breaks she provides alongside the combat readiness push that she gains on her skill 2 is amazing. However, as you might have experienced when trying out Robin, getting the conditions to make her work can be difficult. The detonate feature in her kit is locked behind a soul burn on skill 3, and in order to take an extra turn, Robin needs to be paired with another character who can also take an extra turn before her. As a result, Robin can be very powerful when played around, especially in content like Arena or Guild Wars, but of course there are very clear examples of characters who counter her like Harsetti, anti-debuffers like Dilibit/Ed, etc, etc. With this, let's now break down Robin's kit. Her second skill is an AoE grenade that dispels 2 buffs, applies 3 burns per enemy with a 100% chance, and this also boosts her combat readiness push by 50%. This skill is great for stripping, applying burns, and taking another turn quickly, but her skill 3 is another AoE attack, with this extending debuffs by 1 turn and inflicting defense break with a 100% chance. When the skill isn't on cooldown, she gains swift attack and 25% combat readiness push from ally extra turns, and this is how she will take most turns in most games. Her skill 1 is a single target dagger attack with an 85% chance to bleed for 2 turns, but of course this can be upgraded to 100%, though honestly this skill as a whole is pretty uneventful aside from some minor damage. With this, the Molo order here is S3 being equal to S2, while her S1 upgrade is pretty debatable in terms of value. However, what's most important across all her skills is increasing the effect chances here so that you can of course land more debuffs. Now let's go over some of the builds that people are using right now. The current slow/PvE build has her at roughly 220 speed, near 4000 attack, and about 130 effectiveness, and this is usable for content like Rift and against most PvE content in the game where you'd be using Robin. The next build we have is in the 240 to 250 speed range, and this is with roughly 3000 attack, 250 effectiveness, and this is of course to cut ahead of most characters, but still be tuned so that she's slower than Sharoon when paired with Renak. Overall, this is the cleave/speed focused build for most Robin players, but as this is early, there are definitely changes that can be made to this build specifically. Experimentally, you could also have a 295 speed and 3500 attack with 130 effectiveness build as well, but this is a potential fast opener after a character like Lidica or Renak, with a major downside being that the 25% combat readiness push is less relevant once you have a build like this specifically. In terms of artifacts, her own, Renewed Will, and even things like Elegant Candle or even Guiding Light can all be decent options depending on the playstyle that you're choosing. Guiding Light is great for fighting against characters like Zeo, Elegant Candle and artifacts that have defense break are good against slow characters, and Renewed Will is something that I'm pretty interested in as a concept, as of course this both gives attack to all allies while also providing a bit of a surprise factor in terms of combat readiness pushing your entire team. In terms of synergies, Renak is likely her best, with her S2 into S3 giving her a load of damage and also activating her S2 passive. Robin can then follow this up with the cast of her S2 into Soulburn S3, and this is major damage and likely what most players will try to set up, specifically with Robin. Another interesting consideration here is to keep Robin hidden and prevent the enemy from hitting her with characters like Arunka or the former artifact Guiding Light as I mentioned earlier. Now this can be strong depending on how many anti-debuffing tools the enemy has, but truthfully 3 burns and a defense break on a character who can't be hit said, is pretty intimidating and something that people were trying to do in a different sense with characters like Pirate Captain Flan. With any other extra turn havers like Ran, Mid, Para, or any other opener with multiple turns, Robin can definitely find success. The main downside here, however, is that some of these characters are weak if Robin ends up being banned, so as a result, if you want to use someone like Robin, it may be better for you to use these characters in Arena or GVG. Regarding Guild War defense, right now Robin hasn't had enough time to showcase her potential, but it's fair to say that a triple burn all-in-one hero is pretty strong. If you take someone like Emma Luna or Renak and pair them with Robin, there's a good chance the rest of the team will explode. That said, you still need to avoid characters like Harsetti, Young Senya, Designer Lilibit, or Ed, but there are definitely defenses that you'll encounter that don't have said characters. Like with Guild War, Robin can also be very strong against teams that are susceptible to debuffs, but Harsetti and characters like Young Senya are even more common in arena defenses. When they aren't present, Robin's damage is absolutely incredible, but of course this depends on the team or the RNG of the opponent that you end up queuing into. In RTA, she's pretty difficult to draft at the moment as you specifically need an extra turn and a book for her ideal game plan. But if you fight against slower players who allow you to take 2 turns or that are unable to punish / debuff Robin, she can definitely be strong. That said, most players nowadays will pre-ban openers like Renak or draft Bellion in the unbannable 3rd pick slot, so playing her is much more difficult. For PvE, Robin is currently perfect for Rift, and with a bit of exploring, we can assume that Robin will eventually be able to solo and make quick work of this content. Aside from this, she's also great in Earth Expedition whenever that comes back around, and she's also decent against Arahakan in Nightmare Raid, where she takes the place of Suthin if you don't have him for that burn team. Me personally, I'm using Robin, however, at the 240 speed range, and this is alongside 250 effectiveness so that I can land against some of the more high effective resistance characters in the game. I may end up changing her to have less effectiveness and have more bulk so that I don't end up dying as easily, but this is my current build at least for now. In terms of usage, I do currently take her in modes like Arena and RTA, but I do also plan on taking her alongside Renak in the same way that I originally used Sharoon to beat up enemies. That said, I have certainly felt the effect of needing an extra turn character and someone who can hold book. Finally, however, let's talk about the pros and cons of Robin. Now, as you guys saw in the showcase, she definitely has high damage, she works at multiple speeds, she's great with Renak and most openers, and she is PvE viable as a current Rift unit and can also be used in Nightmare Raid / Earth Expeditions. With this, however, she does also have weaknesses, and that includes things like being hard countered by anti-debuff characters like Designer Lilibit. Additionally, when it comes to gear, you may need decent quality if you're aiming to deal decent damage, survive, and also have a decent amount of health while landing debuffs, but none of this honestly compares to the juggling and RNG of whether you're choosing to use her against Zeo, in which case you may actually either need to take Zeo or end up running her on Guiding Light. All in all, if you've been on the fence about Robin, you may want to consider her more for her contributions in PvE than PvP. Currently, this character struggles to find a reliable set of characters who can provide both an extra turn and hold a book, and otherwise her best case scenarios are in PvE or against Arena / Guild War, but Harsetti and Young Senya are still running rampant there. That said, overall, Robin still feels like a character who has no perfect super insane niche where she dominates, but is rather generally usable and just good in certain scenarios instead. That's going to be it for today's video though. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.
All that's left is ruin. Can you hear the approaching ruin?
Dare block my way? And if it's a hunted duck, I'll bring it roaring back to life. A bunch of Sunday drivers.
look after the shop? It'll be over before you know it.
I always give my all. I'll level 28. I'll take down anyone who interferes with me. Are you ready? Don't forget this field.
Impressive. Damn. May I play you something? The beating of your heart is a disturbance.